everyone. This is your girl Sade reporting live from the Win in STEM podcast. Happy new month. I can't believe it's already September. My goodness, time is flying and going by too fast. For our first time and returning listeners, thank you for tuning in. Win in STEM is a platform to highlight successful people of color STEMists to show others how to get a seat at the table and win in science, technology, engineering, and math. I hope you've been enjoying the STEMpreneur series and learning a lot. I surely have. I'm ready to start my business right now. But today I have another special guest. She's a doctor, PharmD to be exact, an entrepreneur, an educator, speaker. The list goes on. Her name is Dr. Floryn. I met her not too long ago, but once we linked up and I got to know her, I was like, I need her on my podcast ASAP. She is truly, truly a beautiful person inside and out. So thank you so much, Floryn, for being a guest.
Thank you so much for having me, my dear. Wow. I feel like, oh, how do I even introduce myself after that amazing intro? But no, thank you so much for having me on here. I feel very humbled, very blessed. I'm excited to be on here. And yeah, thank you so much for having me once again. And shout out to you, girl. Shout out to you for you were on it, man. Is there anything that Sade cannot do, right? Like, you are doing it all. And I am just so privileged and I feel so honored to even cross paths with you. And yeah, I appreciate your hustle and keep it up.
Thank
So.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So before we get started, one of the things I like to do in the podcast is to allow our guests to introduce themselves.
Okay.
So this is your time to let our listeners who you are, tell us what you do, share any accomplishments, all the good stuff. This is your time to shine, sis.
Oh my
Brag.
gosh.
The floor
You
is
see, I
yours.
I'm not the brag type. So I really, so for you, like, this is even the hardest question of the whole, but I will
Right.
say, I mean, I'll just keep it simple. My name is Floryn, as Ms. Sade mentioned before. I am West African, so specifically, I'm from Nigeria. Igbo stand up, woo woo. Um, but I live in Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, to be exact. I have a doctoral degree, I'll say, in pharmacy, to the glory of God, of course. I recently launched my business last year during the COVID season. I am in a few ministries that I have taken up leadership positions as well. Overall, I just try to take it one day at a time, but I like to say proactively take it one day at a time. So
Mhm.
um, for me, I know I don't like to be idle. I like to always involve myself as much as I can. I'm also a mentor. I have a few mentees here and there. I'm also a family person, so because I come from a big family, so I love spending time with them. What else? Oh, Shade, I don't even know what else to say. I'm a traveler. I love to travel. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I mean, of course, anyone that knows me knows that God first, of course, and so I like
Mhm.
to just center my life around Him. So yeah, anything that I'm able to do or anything that you see me doing definitely flows from Him allowing me to have that grace to take on such roles and such responsibilities, because to whom much is given, much is required, essentially. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
so I think I'm
See,
done.
that wasn't that bad.
Oh my gosh, Ade. I'm like clenching my fist here. I'm like, oh, Floryn. All right, girl, don't do too much. But no, yeah, so that's me in a nutshell, just to sum it up a little bit. So
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So now we can dive into the easier questions.
ooh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. So, Floryn, tell us about your college experience. How was that like? Did you have any internships? And what did you do after college?
Oh my gosh, my college experience. Girl, do we even have time? I mean, I will try to sum it up as quickly as possible, but my college experience, to say the least, was very interesting. Simply because, before I even got to college, because I was so sheltered, I come from a very sheltered home where it's like I
Mhm.
wasn't allowed to go out or do any of these things. I mean, I'm not sure you probably can relate, hun, where it's like when
Yes,
you're in an
girl.
African household, we do not
Mhm.
act the way we see other people acting outside of our culture, outside of our race. So, my parents are very strict on me, always monitoring, always just, there was no such thing as privacy in my household. So I'm saying all that to
Mhm.
say that when I got to college, people thought that I was going to essentially go crazy, lose my mind, do any and everything that I wanted to do because I had never really experienced what it meant to go to a party or be drunk or smoke or what any of that crazy stuff that we know happens on college campuses. I didn't get to experience that before I even got there. So when I did get to college, I really had no interest in doing those things. I mean, I dabbled here and there. Come on now, before I was saved, I dabbled, I dabbled here and there with a few things and a few people, and hung out with certain crowds that I knew that wasn't really going anywhere. So it was just kind of just a pastime. But overall, I would say I had a holistic college experience where I got to experience a lot. And through my experiences, I had the opportunity to learn and grow and just really see life from a different point of view. So I thank God
Mhm.
for my college experience. I went to an HBCU, shout out to UMES, Eastern Shore, all the way in Princess Anne, Maryland. So that was quite out, all the way out there. But, God knew that I needed to be in that kind of environment so that He could teach me what I needed to learn before I came out into the actual real world. So
Mhm.
I'm grateful for my college experience. I would say that, yes, you can have fun. Yes, you can meet different people, but always remember what your goal is. Your goal is to actually graduate and graduate on time.
Mhm.
And some people will probably think, what do you mean graduate on time? I get it. There are circumstances that happen that doesn't allow it. But if you can do everything in your power to make sure you graduate on time and do everything that you need to do to ensure that you walk across that stage on time, do it. Because I mean, I know I'm not sure if you've heard it, but HBCUs, people tend to, sorry to say, kind of drag their feet a little bit just because it's so fun, right? HBCUs are fun. Like you just want to
Mhm.
hang out, you want to just turn up all day, all night. But reality is, this is not why you're here. You're here to get an education, get your degree, and move on with your life. So I remember there was a point in time where my guidance counselor was telling me that I was going to graduate late. For whatever reason, for me, I'm just like, wait, what do you mean graduate late? I've been taking these courses, I've been doing everything that I needed to do so that I can
Mhm.
graduate on time, and you're telling me I'm going to graduate late? Oh, girl, I was like, okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to ensure that this
Mhm.
does not happen? Again, coming from an African household, how do you tell your parents you're graduating late?
Yes, girl.
What do you tell your father who's like, you know, signing off on
Yeah.
all these financial aids for what? Just for you to graduate late so I can spend
Mhm.
more money? So again, that mindset of, okay, no, 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 no. Got to kick it into high gear. Got to do every and anything that I need to do to make sure that I graduate on time so I can move on with my life, because I knew that this was not my final destination. And I think
Mhm.
that's one of the mistakes that a lot of, especially new students going in, they think that this is their final destination. But no, honey, you have to keep going and you have to keep going higher. So it's like to go into
Yeah.
college with the mindset of, oh, let me just chill, relax, and drag my feet. No. Mm-mm. So as soon as she had told me that, I I literally started just racking up on classes, like, I mean, credits, I should say. I was taking 21 credits per semester, taking summer classes, taking winter classes. I did what I had to do to make sure I graduated on time. And I did not continue to rely on my guidance counselor. That's another thing. Sad to say, you really cannot rely solely on your guidance counselors, right?
Mhm.
To ensure that you graduate on time. You have to take that responsibility on your own, right? You have to go on the school website, look at the curriculum, whatever major you have chosen, look at the curriculum, look and see what are the credits that I need to walk across that stage, which is what I had to do. So after I had that conversation, I don't even think I went to my guidance counselor anymore. I kind of just took matters into my own hands. So that's what that. So long story short, my college experience was quite interesting. I learned a lot. Definitely, I grew a lot, and I just had a different outlook in life. So I'm grateful for it. I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't trade it. Would I do it all over again? No. That was it was it was kind of stressful. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of stressful because I felt like I was just hustling for my
Yeah.
grades, hustling to make sure that I graduated on time. And on top of that, when I got into my final year of undergrad, I now had to start immediately applying for pharmacy school
Mm.
on top of taking 21 credits, on top of working. And
Jeez.
so, girl, whoo, Chile. Sorry, am I allowed to say that on here?
Yeah, you did.
It was it was a lot, Sade. Like, girl, looking back, I'm like, how did I do that? Like, again, going back to my faith, God is so good because like I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know how I did that. Like it was just insane. And this wasn't just for one semester. This was multiple semesters of taking all these classes, working, and also trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next after I leave here? So that was always also really in the back of my mind, like, okay, Floryn, what are your next steps? Because you know this is not your final destination. So, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. I hope I answered your question. I feel like I kind of went off on a tangent.
Of course. And then maybe you can touch a little bit about how pharmacy school was and then what you got into after pharmacy school.
Okay, so just to kind of backtrack a little, I think you also threw in there before something about internships.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I'll touch on that before I go to the pharmacy school aspect because that is also what helped me get into pharmacy school. So I did this one particular internship that I did for 2 consecutive summers, I believe. I was very intentional about making sure that I got an internship that allowed me to stay on site while I did my internship, and that was at the Washington Center. Shout out to TWC, amazing experience. I mean, literally, I was in the heart of DC, taking the train, just meeting, having all these seminars and meetings, meeting people from all over the world, essentially, because this is a
Mm-hmm.
global internship. So I was meeting people from all different walks of life. So that also opened my eyes even more to the different backgrounds that people come from, I should say. So I had an amazing time, amazing experience. So how the internship is set up is that they allow you to choose what industry you want to be in or you have an interest in. And so for me, I knew that I wanted to go to pharmacy school, so I needed to do internships that were centered around the pharmacy world. And so they were able to link me with amazing people that really took me in. I did one at the Veteran Affairs Hospital, and I did another one at Sibley Memorial Hospital. So that was really good. I got to network with a lot of people, especially in the pharmacy world. And when I went to apply for pharmacy school, essentially, I was able to get references from the director of the pharmacy. So
Wow.
I know I really, again, I just bless God for that because, she doesn't owe me anything. I was only there for what, a couple months. So I'm really grateful that they really helped me with that process. So now transitioning into pharmacy school, I'll just be honest. I will be honest. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had
Mm.
no idea. And it was almost like a shock, an educational shock, I should say, because my undergrad, unfortunately, did not really prepare me for the workload that I was getting into when it came to pharmacy school. I went to an accelerated program, Worcester, Massachusetts, MCPHS. Shout out to all my alums. Shameless plug, but anyway, I that's where I went to school. So, an accelerated program basically, you don't have any. What is it? You don't have your summers off. Basically, you barely
Sheesh.
have a holiday. Barely. Like so if it's Thanksgiving, you have 2 days off, and then you have an exam when you get back.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it was so intense, Shadi. Like it was. I mean, literally, it was hell on earth. And I'm like, dang, if I had studied this hard when I was in undergrad, I'd probably been at Harvard by now. Like, it was just so hard. It was like one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my entire life. And, my undergrad just did not prepare me for that level of work. And literally, when I would go to class, I would feel so discouraged because when the professor would be teaching, he or she would teach in a way that you already know this information. I'm just doing an overview. And then the exam would be what, a couple days later. So for me, I had to go all the way back to the basics. I had to learn what the professor was even talking about and then apply on top of what I learned what was taught in today's class, if that makes sense. So I had
Yeah.
to get the foundational information first, then apply it to what I was taught in real time. So it was just a lot. Like it was a lot. I'm talking sleepless nights. I'm talking 7 exams back to back when it came to finals, and these were all cumulative.
Hmm.
I'm talking like trying to be in study groups but not working out, because for me, I'm the type of person, if I really need to sit down and focus and study, I need to be alone. It was really, really hard. And I'll share this because hopefully it at least helps one person, right?
Mhm.
I actually didn't make it a semester. I didn't make it a semester, and I had to take a year off because I did not meet the GPA requirement to move on to the following semester.
Mhm.
And that really broke me. That really, really shook my faith in God, number one. It really deflated me. It really discouraged me. I just felt so disappointed in myself. And I just I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. Like, it was just so much to bear, because for me, I don't like embarrassing moments. I don't like shame. I don't
Mhm.
like any of that stuff, right? Because we where we come from, that's not allowed, right? We always have to put our
Yes.
best foot forward. We always have to be at the top of the class. We always have to get the best grades.
Yeah.
I mean, girl, you already know.
Mhm.
So imagine me having to pack up my things, go home, and tell my dad, "Hey, Dad, I flunked out of school." Like, I flunked out of school, and they're now deliberating to see if they will actually even accept me back in the program.
Mhm.
And so that was just such a low, low moment, Shade. Like, oh my gosh, like I just went into this really dark place, just because it was like, for me, I was like, God, you were not, like, why did this happen? You knew that, this is the last thing. Like, for me, it was one of my biggest fears. It was one of my
Mhm.
biggest fears to have to flunk out of pharmacy school. And if they did let me back in, I would have to start with a different class. And so that was
Mhm.
even more embarrassing to me. And so, yeah, I just shut everybody out. I shut everybody out. I even shut God out. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wallow in my tears and my frustration and my depression and all that. And so, and let me be careful with the word depression, because I know that's a real thing in our society. And you really can't judge someone when they say they are depressed or they're going through depression until you've been in it. So
Mhm.
it's like, for me, like, wow, like, so this is what it feels like to be sad all the time, to cry all the time, to be in
Mhm.
bed all day, to not want to do anything, not want to talk to anybody, not even have an appetite. And girl, I love to eat. So that's how you know it was real. If
Yeah.
I couldn't even eat. I couldn't even eat, girl. I was like, oh Lord. I was just in a dark place, man. So dark. But let me pick this story up because I know we have other questions. But long story short, I ended up um, accepting the position to come back to the program. I didn't want to, but my parents, of course, convinced me, and everyone else around me was rooting for me. So it made it easier to, I guess, go back. But being on campus, oh my gosh, like, again, that's a whole
Mhm.
different story in itself. But just to sum it up, it was not easy. It was not easy
Mhm.
for me to go back with a new class, and start again, fresh again. And it was just a lot. And I know through that situation, God was teaching me that, first of all, I am not to fear anything or anyone but Him, number one. And
Mhm.
number two, it's like, if God has allowed me to be in this place and in this space, He will sustain me. He will see
Mhm.
me through. He will perfect all that concerns me. And I just needed to trust Him, because even when I would pray in pharmacy school, my prayers were just fear based prayers. I had no faith attached to it. It was just kind
Mhm.
of like me praying because I was feeling anxious. I was having anxiety. I was stressing out, but it was never I wasn't praying with the posture of, God, I trust you and I know you'll take care of me. No, it was more so, God, I'm freaking out. You got to save me. Da, da, da. Like, it was just, everything was just so screwy when I first got into pharmacy school. But once I was able to go back into the program and just have a fresh start, it was hard, but I just had to keep trusting God. I had to keep believing. I had to
Mhm.
keep praying. And yes, some way, somehow, I ended up walking across the stage with my doctorate degree. And for me, it was such a surreal moment, because oh my gosh, I don't know. Oh, of course, I would do this. Just to wrap up, I had my actual doctorate degree in my hand, and I pulled up the email of when they said that we are dismissing you from the program.
Hmm.
And I looked at them both side by side, and I'm like, God, you are so great. Wow. Like, that was such a surreal moment for me. Like, looking at my actual degree in my hand and then going back to
Yeah.
the email that they sent me saying, Floryn, you're dismissed from the program. So it was like, wow. So long story short, pharmacy school was quite a journey, quite a roller coaster, but I cannot deny the fact that a lot of fruit was produced in me through that program. And
Mhm.
the best part of it all, I got immersed into a community that will forever, ever, ever, ever be in my heart. So I got literally the best of both worlds, and I'm so, so grateful. I wouldn't trade my pharmacy school experience for anything because I know that it's made me who I am today.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, 'cause I know that listeners, even myself, can definitely relate to your story.
Mm.
It's a whole nother podcast episode, but I also flunked out a
Oh,
semester.
really? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so
I'm glad I shared then. Like, I know it's
yeah.
a lot to share because you want to paint the picture of, oh, everything went perfect, everything went well. But
Mhm.
girl, woof,
Yeah, so girl, I definitely understand
the
going back to the
struggle.
different class, telling your
Oh my
parents that you're not graduating on time.
girl.
Whew,
And you know,
but
Africans, they don't hear nothing past, I failed,
right.
I failed.
You know what?
They're looking like, what are you talking about? What do you mean?
What do you
And I'm
mean?
like,
You need to go to the office and talk to your teachers?
I'm
No,
telling
it's
you, like, it's so crazy. It's like, how do you accurately or effectively explain to your parents without them freaking out that mom and dad, this is a situation, but don't worry. But no, my dad said to me, I can laugh about it now, but in the moment it wasn't funny. He said to me, nobody in my family has ever flunked out of any school. So please do not disgrace this family as my first child. And I'm like, wow, thanks so much for the encouraging words. I mean, shout out to Pops. Love you, Dad. But if you ever listen, but yeah, that's what my dad said to me. And I was just like, wow, okay, so what am I
Mhm.
going to do now? Am I even allowed to come home? So it was just, girl, thank you for sharing as well because it's hard. It's hard
Yeah,
to share stuff like that because, man, it's not easy.
yeah, but you know what? We thank
It's
God
it's just
that
not.
we
But
here. We are
honestly,
successful Black
yes,
women in
girl.
our
Whew.
field.
Yes, 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 definitely, 100%.
So you told us about your college experience. Now let's get into entrepreneurship. When did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Did you always had this in mind before you started your current business, or was it just COVID that piqued that curiosity in you?
So, I come from a line of entrepreneurs, both on my father's side and my mother's side. So, the entrepreneurial spirit or the entrepreneurial blood, if that's even a real thing, it's already in me. But have I owned in on that? No. It was only when I was in college that I was around so many people. This is undergrad. I was around so many people that were not afraid to live their truth. We're not afraid to say, hey, this is what I want to do and this is who I want to be. So I always kind of suppressed that whole wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to own my own business, so on and so forth, because I don't know, it was just hard to be my full
Mhm.
authentic self when I was an undergrad, just because I went in with the mindset of, okay, I really have to accomplish the goal for which my parents have sent me here for. So I don't have time to be in la la land or have dreams about owning my own business and so on and so forth. Like I have a job to do, which is to get good grades and graduate. So I didn't really have space or allow room for myself to really own in on this whole entrepreneur thing. So when I got to pharmacy school, please, I mean, entrepreneur, what or who? Like, that
What is
didn't even cross my
that?
mind. Yeah, like, right, what is that, right? Who, what? I'm just trying to graduate. So I didn't, I didn't have the opportunity to be able to explore then as well. So honestly, it was only when I graduated, I passed my boards, and then I finally started working that I now had time to really sit down and be like, okay, Floryn, you want to start a business, you want to be an entrepreneur, what are the practical steps that I can take to really start this whole journey? And I just started doing research upon research. I took a couple master classes. I even took a Harvard business class. I just was trying to prepare myself as much as possible to step into this world of entrepreneurship. Now, I know that everything is going to be by experience.
Mhm.
If you really want to learn what it means to be an entrepreneur, it's not just reading books, it's not just taking classes, but it's actually getting your hands in there and doing the work day by day. So basically, it's more so for me. I I knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I always wanted to own my own business, or I'll say businesses. I just didn't I just didn't have the zeal to really go all in just because I've had other things that I had to focus on. So it wasn't a priority. It was only until I, graduated and I started working and being in the real world, I'm like, okay, you know what? This is not it.
Mhm.
I got to try and set myself up for better. And I always knew that anytime I started my business, it would have to be in something that I truly enjoy, something that I truly look forward to putting in work day and night, tireless hours, like something that I really, really like doing. And so for me, fashion, beauty, I mean, I love it. Anyone that knows me, knows that I love clothes. I love shoes, bags, accessories. Like, yeah, I'm a girly girl, whatever. But I can switch it up when I need to with the sneakers or whatever. But I love clothes. And so, yeah, I just I mean, I had been sitting on my idea for about 3 years. And then for whatever reason, I just got enough guts to actually start during the COVID season.
Mhm.
So I started planning and prepping to release my first collection last year, November, but I started earlier in the year. So it was just more so me taking myself
Mhm.
seriously and actually putting in the work. I'm sure you already know there's nothing really glamorous about being an entrepreneur. It's not really sexy. It's not really like, so when I'm on Instagram and I'm seeing all these posts about entrepreneurship and how it's just so glamorized now, it's like, wow, I mean, am I missing something here? Because this is a lot of work.
You said businesses, plural. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, honey. So I started my clothing business called Perfected by Faith, and for me, I just want it to be a house of brands where it's like I have all these different businesses running under Perfected by Faith. So it's only just the clothing brand for now, and then hopefully within the next 2 years, I am able to create more things that I can slap the PBF label on
Mhm.
and market that to the world. So I have a few ideas. I definitely have ideas. My phone is loaded with, in my notes section, it's loaded with ideas. And for me, I also know that I have to be careful because I don't want to become overzealous.
Mhm.
And I have all these businesses here, right, left, center, but I haven't really owned in on any of them. So I'm really just trying to perfect my craft when it comes to the clothing side of things and then venture off to other stuff because I want to have accessories. I even want to have, girl, I even want to have a podcast out of PBF,
Yes.
but I, like there's so much that I want to do because the possibilities are
Yeah.
endless. And so I'm just trying to pace myself because I did just start like full on last year, November. And so once I master this whole clothing and sales and stuff like that, then I'll feel more comfortable opening up other businesses, which I know I will. It will come with
Mhm.
time, but I just have to be patient, right? It's hard to be patient as an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting from the ground up. So, yeah.
Wow. While owning your clothing business and being a pharmacist, how do you avoid becoming overwhelmed? Like, how do you balance both of that? Because I know pharmacy is demanding, especially with
Yes.
COVID and going
hmm
on. I can only imagine how much sleep you get.
It's definitely not easy, to say the least. It's one of those things where after a long day of work, and this is like working 8 to 12-hour shifts, that I have to be very intentional about tending to my business. So
Mhm.
ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that it comes down to making a decision, right? Your business is not going to grow itself. You have to put in the work.
Mhm.
So though I may be tired, yes, I'm tired, but if this is something that I truly care about, this is something that I truly want to do and invest my time and energy in, then I have to be diligent. I have to put my feelings and my emotions and my tiredness aside, and I have to just do what needs to be done in order to grow this business, in order for it to get to a level where it's like, okay, then I don't have to also be so hands on. But long story short, yeah, it's one of those things where it just starts with a decision. You have to decide, okay, am I serious about being an entrepreneur? Am I serious about growing my business? Okay, then I'm not going to be able to get a full 8 hours of sleep every night because once I get
Mhm.
back from work, I'm going to have to just figure out, okay, how do I put this stuff together? How do I create this content? How do I package this order? How do I get my website up? How do I, so many things to do.
Yeah.
Again, it just starts with a decision and being serious about it, being intentional, being diligent, being focused about it.
Mhm.
So, I'll be honest, like, it's not every day that I come back from work that I'm like, okay, PBF, PBF. No, I definitely will say that when I have deadlines, I'm more on
Mm-hmm.
it. But once the collection is released, now it's like, okay, we're creating content, we're trying to figure out marketing and sales and so on and so forth. And that's when I start to consult some members of my team to help with that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely not easy because another thing is entrepreneurship. Like when you're in it can be very consuming.
Mm,
And you have to also remember that you have an actual full-time 9 to 5 job.
yeah.
So you have to figure out how you're going to balance the two. It's every day it's a balancing act. It's like, okay, how much time will I attend to my job, and then how much time will I attend to my business? And we know, especially in the beginning stages, you're not going to quit your job
Yep.
just to do your business. I mean, some people do that, and I'm like, wow, you're so bold.
Props to
Like,
them.
congrats to you, but honey, right? Props to you. But for me, I got bills. I got real bills.
Mm-hmm.
So I could not just quit my job and just say I'm just going to do this full time. Absolutely not. Even some of the wisest entrepreneurs will tell you, don't quit your day job. Don't ever do that until the business is making you more money than your actual day job. Then you can quit and just focus on the business. And so that is definitely the goal for me, or one of my goals is to, just grow my business enough so that I don't have to keep working my quote unquote day job
Mm-hmm.
as a pharmacist, right? So that I can transition into full-time entrepreneurship, because I genuinely do like it, even though, yes, it's a lot of work, but it's so fulfilling to see something that you've started and to really grow it and groom it and to see it take off into the world. It's a beautiful
Mm.
thing. It's like literally like having your own child. Like
Yeah.
you birth it and you
Watch it
raise it,
grow.
and then you just, yeah, girl, come on, all of
Mm-hmm.
it. So it's just it's a beautiful thing to watch it grow, knowing all of the hard work you've put in. So I would say just trying to have that healthy balance. That's for me at least, just trying to have that healthy balance, because again, this can be very consuming. And I if I'm being honest, and I can be honest on here, I don't think I'm just there yet to allow my brand to consume me, just because I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure this all
Mm-hmm.
out. I could allow it to consume me if I really wanted it to, and it wouldn't be a bad thing per se, but it's like, ugh, this is so much. And I don't even I this is I'm a one-man show right here. Like, I don't have a business partner, I don't have execs or whatever. I mean, there are people that I can definitely reach out to for help, but at the end of the day, everything falls on me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, that's another thing to keep in mind. So again, taking it proactively one day at a time, but just being intentional
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
diligent and focused and disciplined, all of that, if you really want to see real growth for your business, and if you really want to be able to know how to balance yourself. Time management, of course, is a big thing, huge
Oh
thing,
yes.
because I mean, Shada, you already know, when you get back from work, all you want to do is Netflix and chill.
Facts.
Like, you don't want to do anything else, especially if you've had a long hard day.
Yeah.
You're just like, look, all I want to do is eat, turn on my Netflix, kick up my feet, knock out on my couch, and then we'll do this again tomorrow. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, where does the business come in, right? So that's my own take on it.
One thing that helps me is like, well, I know the podcast is not really a business, but it's still under the
Mm,
lines of entrepreneurship. So I definitely
yes.
feel you with coming home from work tired, and you've created deadlines
Girl.
for yourself, and people are waiting for your collection. People are waiting for episodes, and I think
Yeah.
what helps kind of keep me in check is like remembering your why. So the times where you're
Mm,
tired or you're stressed, just remembering, okay, what is the reason why I created this business, this podcast, this clothing line? What was,
yeah.
the purpose behind it? And I think remembering
Yeah.
that, gives me that little push. Like, okay, Shadow, get off get off the couch, get out of bed,
Mm,
stop
get off IG.
sleeping, get off IG, and get to
Same over
work.
here.
Yes, and get to work.
Yeah. No, definitely, definitely. The why is the biggest motivator. If you
Mhm.
don't understand or know your why, then forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it. So,
So with your clothing business, did you or were you able to leverage your STEM degree for becoming an entrepreneur?
um, so yes, actually, in my line of work, the biggest thing is paying attention to
Mm.
detail. My job is very, very, very detailed oriented. And so I was able to take that quality or take that skill and translate it over to my business, where I'm able to pay very close attention to everything that's going on within my business. I'm able to negotiate. I'm able to reach out to whoever I need to reach out to make sure things are done exactly how I personally want them to be done or how they should be done.
Mm-hmm.
And just really taking a closer look at everything that is being done so that the collection can be well packaged and well put out there. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely, I have been able to use some of my STEM degree and some of the training that I've had in pharmacy school and undergrad as well, but mainly pharmacy school, to be able to use that to help sharpen my skills as an entrepreneur. Because I believe as an entrepreneur, definitely you have to be able to pay attention to
Yes.
detail.
Yeah.
Detail, detail, detail. If you can't pay attention to detail, then forget it. You're just going to miss everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm very grateful for that aspect, where it's like it's innate at this
Yeah.
point. Like I can't get away from paying attention to detail, because it's like that's what I do all day at my job.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that I'm giving the right medications, making sure that I'm counseling people correctly, making sure that I'm giving the right vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's just all this stuff that I have to do simultaneously at work. So imagine coming home and then, having to implement that in my business. So it works out. It works out. So I'm grateful for that aspect of it.
Awesome. And then, so when you started Perfected by Faith, how was the research like? I know you mentioned you took some classes. Were you a part of any entrepreneur groups that kind of helped you get your feet into the clothing fashion business? What resources did you leverage?
So I definitely leveraged, I think I alluded to before, the Harvard Business class. That did help me to get a really broad scope view of just being an entrepreneur and being in the entrepreneur world. So that helped me out a lot. I took a couple of master classes from well known business owners, and them just teaching you step by step what they did or how they got to where they were. So that was also very helpful. And then I'm a part of SBA, Small Business Admin, where they set you up with a mentor and you get to have check ins and you get to ask questions, and they get to set you up with people that are able to help you get to where you need to be, whether it be in marketing, advertising,
Mm-hmm.
sales, and so on and so forth. So I'm very grateful to have these resources around me. And then I also have another business mentor who, she lives in the UK, so she owns a beauty brand, EX1 Cosmetics, and she's definitely been a lot of help to me, because I look at it as, she doesn't owe me anything. She's already established. She's already making her millions. She's already doing what she got to do.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to take time to look at my website and look at everything that I'm doing and to really coach me and mentor me means a lot. So I have a few plugs here and there that I'm able to draw from
Mm-hmm.
to make me a better entrepreneur, to help me to get to where I need to be as an entrepreneur, and to ultimately grow the business the correct way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful for that. So yeah, definitely utilizing your resources was a big thing for me, because I didn't want to just jump in just to jump in. I
Yeah.
wanted to have some form of foundational
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of what it even means to be an entrepreneur and how to really sustain yourself as an entrepreneur. I know that during one of the classes at Harvard, the instructor was saying that, cash is king. You cannot run out of cash. Once you run out of cash, everything's over.
Yeah. That's enough.
And so, girl, I was like, okay, noted, noted, noted. Floryn, do not run out of cash. Don't run out of cash. And so that, for me, that was one of the biggest takeaways, because it's so true. It's so true. We can do all this stuff, but if once you run out of money,
Mm.
what else can really be done?
Mhm.
Like, what else are you really going to do? So I love when he taught on, cash being king. So yeah, just this one of the many things that I've learned from taking classes such as those. And yeah, I'm grateful.
The SBA that you mentioned, is that like
Mhm.
a Maryland thing? How does that work?
So, well, to my knowledge, I think they're in different states, but I know in Maryland specifically, I probably should have looked that up, but I know in Maryland specifically, they definitely do have this resource center available to any and everyone that wants to really be in this whole entrepreneur world. So, and even when you go on their website, they have so many different resources. They have so many things that they give to you that will essentially help you grow your business, that will help you start your business, that will help you sustain your business. And so I'm very grateful. For me, I just did like a Google search, and I saw that, okay, they do have centers in my area. They do have mentors that they can pair me with, that I can go to and talk with, and they give me really good advice. And it's just been a blessing, honestly.
Ooh, thanks for that tip. I honestly didn't even know. I knew there was SBAs, but I
Oh,
didn't know that they
really?
provided resources like that, like mentorship and
Oh,
advice. So
yes.
thank you for that.
100%. And there's no, definitely, definitely. And there's also this one is also relatively new to me. It's called SCORE. SCORE, it stands for Service Corps of Retired Executives. So that's just a fancy way of them being a nonprofit organization that they provide free consultation services and advice to business owners and aspiring
You
entrepreneurs.
said free?
So yes, girl, I said free. Yes, I
Oh,
did.
okay. Let me
Hmm.
write this down. Score.
Yes, and I can send you these links when we're done. I can definitely send you these links. And so basically, also they do as well. They actually work together with the SBA, but also with SCORE, they also will pair you with a mentor. All you have to do is fill out your information, and somebody will get back to you
Oh
ASAP.
wow.
And they provide, yeah, free consultation. I'm like, wow, like this is, so this is the kind of stuff where it's like, okay, if you sit down and do research, you find
Hmm.
out stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely send you over the links when we're done.
Thank
But yeah,
you. That'd be awesome.
no problem.
So, pandemic's been a year and a half.
Hmm.
And you mentioned you started your business during the pandemic. How has the pandemic
Yeah.
affected Perfected by Faith?
Whew, girl. Mm-mm-mm. So I mean, okay, let me not be dramatic. I thank God, that when I did launch, the response was so great. I will not deny the fact that the feedback, the sales, everything was really good. Definitely it's good to have friends and family that truly believe in your vision and mission for your
Mhm.
brand and want to just support. So definitely I got a lot of orders from friends and family. So, but overall, I think because I launched it in November and I know that was towards the end of the year, even though yes, we're technically still in a pandemic, I think I would like to say I wasn't affected too much or at all, actually,
Mhm.
just because it just launched, and I'm still trying to grow the brand. So I myself am still working at marketing and advertising appropriately. And so it's one of those things where I'm grateful for the support. I'm grateful to know that, COVID didn't hinder my sales.
Mhm.
I can honestly say that. I can honestly say that COVID didn't hinder my sales. And it has been a little bit difficult to navigate through, though, definitely, because we're still in a pandemic and people are going through real life issues, and you want to come and sell them a piece of clothing. So if I'm putting it in plain terms, but again, the feedback has been amazing, and I guess I'm just hopeful that we will come out of this COVID season so that I don't have to keep trying to tailor, or I don't want to say be mindful, but keep having to work around this whole COVID thing.
Mhm.
So, because I know some people are still hesitant to receive packages and so on and so forth. So, I don't know, like it's just a weird time that we're in. It's definitely a weird time, but I know for other businesses who have been established, I know a lot of them took a hard hit.
Mm.
So, and definitely my heart goes out to them. But yeah, I can't really say that, COVID affected my business because we genuinely, like, we literally just launched towards the end of the year. And I think at that time, yes, things were still bad, but they were aggressively trying to come up with a
Yeah,
vaccine.
yep, yep.
So, yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I'm grateful. Again, I'm
Mhm.
grateful. I thank God that who knows if I was really, really established and then COVID hit, I don't
Yeah.
know. Then I can comfortably answer that question because I would be able to see. But being a new brand, yeah, I still have the luxury of trying to still figure it out and still
Mhm.
trying to build it up as we move forward. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you just dropped a collection too. What's next for Perfected by Faith since your 1 year is coming up? If you can share, you know.
Yeah, I can share. I think, and I can be honest, on here. So I need to just tone it down a little bit and pace myself. What do I mean? I mean that I don't have to feel pressure to release collections every year
Mm.
or twice a year. So I think definitely me releasing collection 2 was a little bit premature, but the response has still been amazing
Mhm.
and it's been received by people very well. And so, my brand, essentially, we are emphasizing the importance of purpose,
Mm.
making it known that we're here to fulfill our God given purpose. And so we capitalize on that value by creating thought provoking and conversational pieces in each collection that continuously revert back to purpose. So I want it to be that, when you see my clothing pieces, you're like, perfected by faith. What does that even mean? How does this even correlate? So on and so forth. And now the conversation has been started.
Mhm.
And so for people who are rocking with PBF and understand the vision and the mission, they're able to comfortably have these conversations that are centered around purpose. Like, do you know why you're here? Do you know the impact you're supposed to have on people's lives? Do you know, all of what you're doing, where it's leading to, so on and so forth. So, but just to go back to your question, I do plan on releasing more collections. However, I am pacing myself and I really want to give room for collection 1 and collection 2 to breed on its own and to really become mature and to really have it to sink into people's their hearts, their minds that okay, we're here to stay. And so with collection 1 and collection 2, I'm just going to ride it out as long as I can. And then when I feel like I have gained better grounds or better footing as an entrepreneur, then I'll feel more comfortable releasing another collection because, for me, again, I thought, "Ah, I got to keep releasing collections. I got to keep dropping items. And da, da, da."
Mhm.
No, like, take the time, learn, especially if this is something that is supposed to have
Yeah.
longevity, you got to pace yourself. You cannot just be going out and doing everything all at once. No, you have to pace yourself and really build yourself up and build the brand out. So I am at this point, my mindset is sustainability, longevity. How do I get a community centered around Perfected by Faith? How do I really get people to really buy into Perfected by Faith? And I'm not just talking about sales wise, I'm talking about, the mission and the vision of it and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm just pacing myself right now. So definitely a collection 3 will be coming out. Will it be coming out next year? No. But I'm going to use next year, God willing, to really learn more and to really sharpen my skills. That has been one of my prayer points, actually. God, sharpen my skills as an
Mm.
entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur that is wise. I want to be an entrepreneur that is knowledgeable, that is understanding, that knows how to network with people in her sphere of influence. So I right now I'm pacing myself because I should have let collection 1 really mature and breed on its own, but it's okay. I'm very happy, very pleased with collection 2, and I wouldn't trade it. So right now, these are my 2 main focuses, and until then,
Yes. Until then, everyone, listeners, go and buy collection 1, collection 2.
come on.
Information will be in the description, so you can go and check out the
Yes,
link, the Instagram.
yes, 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 yes. The Instagram is Where Perfected by Faith. That is the IG, and that's the Facebook. And then if to find me personally, it's going to be Dr. _Floryn, Floryn. So I'm down to connect with anyone. You can send me a DM or you can email me. I mean, if people still do that anymore, but so yeah, no, that's all I got.
One last question. What advice do you have for our listeners who want to start their own business?
Oh man. Okay. What advice? There's so many, but I'll just own it on one. My advice is to really learn as much as you can before you venture off and become an entrepreneur.
Mm.
Knowledge is power. The Bible even says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge."
Mm.
And so you don't want to be a perishing entrepreneur, honey. So I would say just research, educate yourself, network, attend classes, seminars, so on and so forth. Now, I'm not saying you have to go and get your MBA if you don't want to, you don't have to, but I would say just equip yourself with the necessary knowledge so that you're able to acquire the necessary skills in order to become an entrepreneur. Because again, knowledge is power and you don't want to just wing it. If you're serious about being an entrepreneur, a good one at that, being one of the best, being at the top, then you need to fully equip yourself, and you need to equip yourself the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm seeing or what I'm noticing is that people are just so essentially desperate to say that they are a CEO or they're an entrepreneur and they want to post on IG or whatever, but not really taking the time to really understand, okay, what am I getting myself into? What am I really about to get myself into? And do I have the capability, or should I say the ability, to be able to do this and do this for a while? I mean, so many businesses are opening and shutting down so quickly within a
Mm-hmm.
year, within months, because they have failed to equip themselves with the necessary knowledge and the necessary skills to be an entrepreneur. Because I think, honestly, I feel like every entrepreneur, and definitely the ones who are at the top, their mindset is longevity, sustainability. How can I create generational wealth? Like, this is the kind of mindset you have to have, even if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be one that has that leaves a legacy, at least, right? So it's just one of those things where just be mindful of the fact that you don't have to rush. You don't have to do it because everybody else is doing it. Like, take the time that you need to take so that when you do finally start your business, you're equipped. Not that you would know everything, of course not. On being an entrepreneur, you're learning every single day. Even the best of the best are learning every
Yep.
single day. But it's just taking the time, doing your due diligence to research and study and ask yourself. I think you alluded to this earlier. What is your why?
Mm.
Why are you doing this? Why now? Why here? So what problems are you solving for people, and so on and so forth? How are you impacting lives? So other than that, I think that would be, amongst the many other advices, I think that would be just one that really sticks out to me the most.
I love it. Knowledge is power, and we have no
Come
excuse.
on.
There's knowledge everywhere. Knowledge,
I
Google,
know. I
YouTube,
know.
TikTok, even your family, your network, friends.
Yes,
There's
girl.
information
Come on.
everywhere for the free.
Literally, this generation that we're living in is very information rich. I mean, very, very, very information rich, and so you have to take advantage of it. You have to.
Hmm.
There's no excuse.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that advice. If you can let our listeners know where we can connect with you one last time.
Of course, definitely. So my personal IG is Dr. _Floryn, Floryn. And then the business is Where Perfected by Faith. Exactly how I said it is exactly how it's written out. That's the business page. That's also the Facebook page as well. And if you want to email, it's perfectedbyfaithshop@gmail.com. Again, that's perfectedbyfaithshop@gmail.com. So, yeah.
All right, y'all heard her, listeners. Go and patronize her. Go and buy collection one, collection two.
Come on
Yep.
now. Yes, definitely. Thank you for the plug, honey. Thank you. I'm still expecting your order though.
Girl,
Okay, I'm
it's
just saying.
coming. Honestly, wait. When I'm done recording, I'll put the order in before I
No
forget.
pressure, no pressure, no pressure. Sade, thank you so much. Again, I respect your hustle. I respect what you're doing, and I just truly feel so humbled to be on this show, this segment. And man, the things you're doing, the places you're going. Oh my gosh! Like I'm just privileged to have a seat and just
Oh,
watch
stop.
and
Come on.
see how far God is. No, honestly, I'm privileged to know you. I mean, I know we haven't known each other for a while, but the fact that we instantly connected, I'm like, okay, God, like I see what you're doing here. So,
Mhm.
know that I'm always here if you need anything, and I truly do appreciate you. I really do. And I'm
Thank
I'm looking forward to our next
you.
dinner date. Just saying it.
Oh
I
yeah,
put it out there.
it's so funny. So I was thinking about that today. I'm like, yeah, September is coming, so
Were you
we just gotta.
really?
No,
Girl, come
honestly,
on.
yo, we
Let me
just
know, honey.
gotta
I'm
plan
ready.
that. Oh man, thank you so much for accepting, just being a guest. I know you have like a busy schedule and just making time for
Oh,
me and the podcast. I
of
truly
course.
appreciate it, and it was an amazing conversation. Thank you for being transparent and vulnerable, especially the whole college. I know a lot of our listeners can
Girl. Ooh.
definitely relate to that. So
Girl.
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much, my dear.
And to my listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Win in STEM podcast. You already know the deal. Make sure you rate 5 stars, like, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Google, Pandora. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Follow us on Instagram at the Win in STEM podcast. And share us your success stories. Let us know how you've been impacted about the podcast as a whole, or even just the STEMpreneur series that we're doing. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the week. Stay tuned for our next STEMpreneur guest. Till next time, y'all be great and go out and win in STEM.
Bye.